It's Wednesday, April 6th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and we're bringing you the latest area news today. And later in the show, our traffic columnist talks about the lack of Wi-Fi on Metro North. Rob also has the latest in high school sports and the forecast. And Donald Ang will take a look back on this day in history. But first, on to the stories we're following today. A Bridgeport man is dead after his vehicle caught fire on I-95 in Darien Tuesday afternoon. Hearst, Connecticut media reports that 35-year-old Jimmy Munez of Bridgeport was driving southbound in the center lane when he lost control of his Honda Pilot and swerved toward the center median divider. Munez's vehicle then swerved right and traveled toward the right shoulder prior to the southbound Darien rest area. The vehicle then struck several trees. State police said the vehicle came to a final uncontrolled rest and caught fire, becoming fully engulfed with the driver trapped inside. The accident report said that Munez died during the crash and was pronounced dead at the scene. That crash was reported at about 5:36 in the evening and caused southbound delays for several hours. And in other news today, a Bridgeport man was arrested recently for allegedly harassing and threatening a Trumbull woman. Police said that Rafael Cruz, 25 years old, was calling his girlfriend on the phone and harassing her after he was released from a 45-day jail sentence. According to a report, Cruz learned that his girlfriend, who is the mother of his daughter and who lives on Main Street in Trumbull, had started dating a new boyfriend while he was in prison, and he began to threaten to kill both people. In one phone call, Cruz threatened that he would throw her in the back of his trunk and quoted several violent lyrics from an Eminem song, Stan, that concludes with the protagonist kidnapping and killing his girlfriend. The Trumbull resident called the police and reported Cruz. She told detectives that she worried she or her daughter would be kidnapped and that she worried for her own personal safety, which was enough for police to draw up the arrest warrant for Cruz. He was held on a $75,000 bond and was scheduled to appear in court last Friday. This was not the first time that Cruz was arrested in Trumbull. And Bridgeport police raided the Golden Star Cafe on Main Street Tuesday and gave underage drinking infractions to 85 Sacred Heart University students. The Connecticut Post reports that up to 100 infractions were issued, and mostly to the underage Sacred Heart University students for procuring alcohol while underage. The owner of the establishment is also being cited for several liquor violations. Ultimately, 85 students were cited, and the owner was referred to the Liquor Commission for violations of the state liquor law. Police said the bar was where a 39-year-old man who was arrested in the sexual assault of a female student last month had met his victim. Alfonso Reed was arrested Tuesday morning on a charge of first-degree sexual assault. He is being held on a $7,500 bond. After meeting the woman in the bar, Reed alleged to have taken the 19-year-old female victim to his home where he sexually assaulted her on March 30th. And a 2001 murder that Milford police doggedly pursued for years, bringing the suspect to trial and ultimate conviction in 2013, will be the subject of an investigation discovery episode that's airing Thursday, April 14th at 9 o'clock. The episode, titled Screams of Silence, is part of Investigations Discovery's Motives and Murders Cracking the Case series and focuses on the murder of Kelsey Monahan, who was beaten and strangled at her home along Milford's shoreline in 2001. An episode description states that newlyweds Kelsey and Matthew Monahan were building their dream home in the picturesque seaside of Milford, but their idyllic story is cut short when Matthew discovers his pregnant 28-year-old wife hogtied on the floor, clinging to life. A few days later, both Kelsey and their unborn child died at the hospital. However, it took a surprise confession in more than a decade before investigators could arrest Kelsey's murderer. This is the second time that Investigation Discovery has done a piece on the Milford murder. The first aired in 2014. Milford Police Chief Keith Mello said the department did not participate in the program, though some retired officers did take part and will appear in it. Although Milford police were on the trail of the suspected murderer early on in the investigation, it took years to bring the case to trial because of lack of forensic evidence. Eventually, Luis Rodriguez was later convicted of manslaughter in the death and was sentenced in 2013. And in other news today, Reading Police Chief Douglas Fuchs said today that the Connecticut Department of Transportation may completely close Route 53 at its intersection with Umpqua Road earlier than expected. It may close as soon as June, just after schools let out. The DOT was initially expected to close the road for 42 days from July to August. That date may be pushed up. The road will be closed to repair a bridge. The project began in March and ends in September. Before it is completely closed in June or July and afterwards until September, Route 53 will be converted to an alternating one-lane road at the intersection. It is expected most traffic that usually travels south on Route 53 will detour through Umpqua Road, which is a residential road with tight turns. Police began adding additional traffic enforcement on Umpqua Road this week in preparation for that closing. And before an array of television cameras and media, the Milford Planning and Zoning Board voted 7-2 at its April 5th meeting to approve a site plan review to permit a medical marijuana dispensary in an office building at 255 West River Street. The LLC, registered with the Secretary of State, lists Angelo DeFazio of Canton as the manager and member. DeFazio said he looked to Milford because it had adopted regulations to allow those facilities. DeFazio said, however, there is a lot of misinformation regarding medical marijuana dispensaries. He said that physicians do not prescribe medical marijuana, but instead certify that a patient has one of 17 diseases that are approved by the state to use medical pot. The patient then registers with the state to receive a medical marijuana card, and the patient is only permitted to register with one such facility. With 4,600 patients registered in Fairfield and New Haven counties and the two nearest dispensaries in Bethel and Brantford, DeFazio said that's not very good access to care. DeFazio said his plan called for 4 pharmacy technicians and 2 pharmacists to work there. He said that security measures are stronger than what's required of a pharmacy. Milford Mayor Ben Blake has raised concerns about the location of the dispensary, asking the state to review it, which the Department of Consumer Protection has said it will not do, citing that the vetting process was thorough. We're going to throw it over to Rob Adams now for a look at the forecast. Rob?
All right, Kate, good morning, and good morning, everyone. It really is April, I promise. We're really supposed to be warmer, but we're not there. Mostly sunny today, high 42. The wind out of the south from 5 to 11. Tonight we have a chance of showers, and it'll really start tomorrow morning around 4. Mostly cloudy, temperatures rising only to 43 in the early morning hours with a south wind around 14 miles per hour. To Thursday, showers and thunderstorms also possible after 1 in the afternoon and a high near 57. The wind also an issue out of the south from 11 to 15. What we're saying is we were supposed to cover tennis tomorrow. It's not looking likely. Chance of precipitation 90%. To Thursday night, just more of the same, but now we'll work in some thunderstorms, patchy fog after midnight, otherwise a very cloudy night and the low around 41. The wind will die down a bit. To Friday, more showers in play after 11, mostly cloudy and a high near 50 with the wind out of the west around 9. To Friday night, mostly cloudy and a low 32. To Saturday, chance of rain afternoon, partly sunny, a high near 46. Sunday, mostly sunny and 42. Monday, partly sunny and 50. And then Tuesday, finally, chance of showers, mostly cloudy and 59. As we were saying off the air, it'll be a warm rain at that point. Around the region, temperatures staying pretty low. Fairfield at 39, New Canaan at 38. Right here in Shelton, we're at 38 degrees. Kate?
All right, thanks so much, Rob. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Donald Dang takes a look back on this day in history. Rob has a Nutmeg Sports update, and we have some more news coming up after this.
Had a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or go to coastalorthoexpress.com. That's coastalorthoexpress.com. Like them on Facebook.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances, where community comes first, a place where there's more than one kind of interest, where automation will never replace consideration, where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
Alberto Londano Professional Painting, Wallpapering, and Carpentry has been serving Fairfield County for over 20 years. Based in Norwalk, Alberto takes pride in his work by offering you only the best quality service and products. Call Alberto today to get a free estimate and be one step closer to a new and exciting home makeover. 203-866-9635.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Hi, I'm Rob Adams with my good friend Donald Eng, and we're the home team for Nutmeg Sports, Monday through Wednesday at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network. We are the place for all things Connecticut sports, so come hang out with us on Nutmeg Sports. Don? They don't call him the best color man in the game for nothing. Nutmeg Sports, 2 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday right here on the HAN Network.
We're back on this Wednesday edition of your Coffee Break on the HAN Network, and it's time to throw it over to Donald Eng for a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, on this day, April 6th, a man proved he was definitely worth his salt. But we're going to go first to 1866, the Grand Army of the Republic, an American patriotic organization composed of Union veterans of the Civil War, is founded. Believe it or not, the Grand Army of the Republic persisted until 1956. To 1973, the American League of Major League Baseball begins using the designated hitter. Ron Blomberg of the Yankees, that's him right there, but he's wearing pinstripes, so it wasn't that particular game, went 1 for 3 on the day. His counterpart, Orlando Cepeda of the Red Sox, went 0 for 6. You could make the argument that Cepeda, not Blomberg, was the first official DH since Boston, as the home team, submitted their lineup card first. To 1994, a plane carrying Rwandan President Juvenal Habyarimana and Burundian President Cyprien Ntaryamira is shot down under mysterious circumstances. This sets off the mass slaughter of ethnic Tutsi and moderate Hutu Rwandans by the ruling Hutu people. In the next 100 days, an estimated 800,000 people would die, this in a country of less than 5 million. And finally, now we go to 1930. The Sea of Bengal for this.
On the 6th of April 1930, Gandhiji went to the seashore. At 8:30 in the morning, he picked up a handful of salt in a symbolic act of defiance. It was a signal for the people of India to launch the civil disobedience movement, to break the salt law and defy the British rulers. In the words of Nehru, salt suddenly became a mysterious word, a word of power. All over India.
That was Gandhi after a 12-day, 240-mile march to the sea, reaching into the water and grabbing a lump of mud and salt, beginning what was called the salt boycott, essentially, of Britain. Britain had enforced a monopoly on salt since 1882, and it was illegal to get it from anywhere but the government. And since most Indians were vegetarians living in a tropical climate, they needed it to add it to their food since they didn't get it from their diet naturally. It also was used for preserving food, embalming the dead, and since everyone needed it, this was the cause that Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, and Christians could all jointly participate in. The beginning of the Great Salt Boycott of 1930 on this day, April 6th. That is your look back in history, and I am Donald Eng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, in an update on a story we brought you yesterday, Darien First Selectman Jamie Stevenson expressed surprise and some concerns regarding a letter from neighbors near Darien High School giving their approval for field lights with some caveats. Some of those compromise items include an adjusted appraisal on their home value so as to not create an adverse economic impact, 10 games a year, and only varsity games. Included in those neighbors was Paul Machalski, who has filed lawsuits over field use and related planning and zoning decisions. It is the first time neighbors have agreed to permanent lights in a battle that has gone on over a decade. However, Stevenson said to the Darien Times that she was very surprised to receive during the Board of Selectmen meeting a very carefully documented set of requested guidelines for the use of lights at Darien High. She said she is pleased to see an acknowledgement that the neighbors are willing to work with the town to move forward, but she has some questions and some concerns regarding the requests in the letter and how they may or may not impact the town, and she welcomes dialogue when the time is right. But there's more on that story at DarienTimes.com. Going to throw it over to Rob Adams now for a sports update.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, that story is going to continue to develop, and it's something we'll be following on Nutmeg Sports Monday through Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. And again, just off of what I said yesterday, 10 games under the lights is just not realistic, but that's a conversation for another time. Let's start with girls lacrosse. We had it right here on the HAN network yesterday afternoon. New Canaan took care of John Jay out of New York. 13-4 was the final score. We've got some highlights for you right now. It's brisk today at Dunning Field in New Canaan, and it's high school girls lacrosse on the HAN network. Set up right out in front in top shelf. It's a 2-1 game. Resulting in a turnover. And right on net, in goes Kylie Murphy to make it a 4-2 game. Working right along those hash marks. Few yards out in front, and a pretty play to Kylie Murphy for her third. Harmlessly bounces, then goes off the crossbar, and the buzzer sounds. And this one is in the books with the final score, the New Canaan Rams 13 and the John Jay Indians 4. And so we look at the scoreboard now. Hat tricks for Kylie Murphy, Sammy Stewart, and Carly Bucci. The Rams improved to 2-0 on the year. The Indians from Cross River, New York, dropped to 0-3. Girls lacrosse, a big win for the Ridgefield Tigers. They beat the Warriors for the first time in program history. Lucy Picard made it so, scoring 3 goals to lead Ridgefield 8-7. Boys lacrosse, Stanford over Central 16-5. Darien with a huge win all over McMahon 23-0. To baseball now. We'll get to baseball in a moment, actually. Let's stay with softball. It was Darien over Danbury 14-2. Cassie Lopiano homered and drove in 5 for the Blue Wave. According to Scott Erickson in the Stanford Advocate, Lopiano's father was paralyzed in a snowboarding accident during the winter. Softball, Barlow over Jonathan Law 9-1, and Platt Tech over Stratford 19-0. Moving along, we get to boys volleyball, and a good win for Trumbull as they knock off Amity. You can see the individual game scores there. Hand knocking off Shelton 3-2. Now to baseball. I jumped the gun. Ben Rusin pitched 6 1/3 scoreless, allowed 6 hits, struck out 10 while walking 1. Billy Black came on in the top of the 7th, got the final 2 outs, and finished the shutout. Colin Cahall and Dylan LaFerry had RBIs for Wilton. They win 3-0. On to girls golf. Darien with a loss to Fairfield Ward. Ward with a 187-205 18-stroke victory. Moving along now, we take a look at some other goodies, and it's the schedule coming up for today, including what we have on tap. Baseball, you've got Trinity Catholic and Bethel getting underway at 3:30, and then the 4 o'clock games. Weston home for Ward, Pomperog at Ridgefield, Staples at Newtown, all throughout the schedule today. And I have to make a quick adjustment here, guys, excuse me, because the schedule a little off key as to what I'm looking at, so bear with me while I pull that right up here and get that all straightened out. Again, just a little bit of a schedule hesitation. Now we're back on key here. Here are the baseball games. Trinity Catholic at New Canaan, Staples at Central, Ward at Brookfield, Norwalk home for Bethel. It is Trumbull at Fairfield Prep, Newtown at Ludlow. It is also Weston at West Hill, Pomperog at Ridgefield, McMahon at Bunnell, New Fairfield at Darien, and HMTCA at Wilton. Plenty of softball. New Milford at Danbury, Stanford at East Haven, Joel Barlow at St. Joseph, Staples home for Ludlow, Colby at Norwalk, Trumbull at Newtown, Greenwich home for Brookfield, Ward at Ridgefield, New Fairfield at Wilton. Boys lacrosse, we've got a big one. Fairfield Prep at New Canaan at 4:30. It's on our air. Again, 4:30 today from New Canaan's Dunning Field Stadium facility. Call it what you wish. Also Staples and Danbury. Girls lacrosse, boys outdoor track and field, girls outdoor track and field, boys tennis, girls tennis, Lots going on. Check the whole schedule at fcac.net. We'll have more on Nutmeg Sports later today, but we've got so much more to do with talking transportation and more with sports. I'm Rob Adams. But again, Nutmeg Sports at 2 and boys lacrosse at 4:30. Kate, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, this just in from the Reading Pilot. 20 teenagers were caught in an underage drinking party that happened in Reading last Friday on Stars Ridge Road. According to the Pilot, an 18-year-old resident of the home, Adrian Silic, was arrested for possession of alcohol by a minor. Police were alerted to the party after someone on Stars Ridge Road called police with a noise complaint about the home. When police arrived, they found 20, 17, and 18-year-olds from Easton, Reading, and surrounding towns at the underage drinking party. However, all were identified and sent home. And in some news from the Ridgefield Press, many people have a claim to fame, but few have one quite like that of Moki Kokoris, a Ridgefielder since 1993. Kokoris was the first Ukrainian woman to raise the flag for her country at the geographic North Pole. She was also the 14th woman overall to successfully reach the North Pole. Kokoris told the press that she never remembers a time that she was not obsessed with the Arctic and the polar regions. As Kokoris began to research, write, and travel to the Arctic, she was approached by the United Nations and began to work with them on various projects. She became the UN representative for the World Federation of Ukrainian Women's Organizations, NGO, in a consultant status with the Department of Public Information. In addition to her work with the UN, Kokoris is an active member of the Explorers Club, editor of the Polar Times, and author of the World Ecology Report. But there's much more on her story at theridgefieldpress.com. We're going to step out for a break, and when we come back, Jim Cameron explains why there's no Wi-Fi on Metro North. That's coming up on your coffee break after this. Better View Window Cleaning Plus has been cleaning glass all over Connecticut for over 20 years. They also specialize in cleaning chandeliers, mirrors, skylights, tiles, and will power wash anything that needs cleaning. They hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and are fully insured and bonded. When you deal with the Better View, you're dealing with the best, not the rest. Call today for a free estimate, 203-284-8836, or visit them online at betterviewcleaning.com. For more than 50 years, S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities with locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford. S will get the job done fast, big or small. At S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at SSclean.com or 203-847-8000.
Join the HAN Network and Make-A-Wish Connecticut to help make travel wishes come true for local kids with life-threatening medical conditions. Donate your unused airline miles to the HAN Network Wishes in Flight campaign. Over 70% of wishes granted involve travel, and your unused airline miles can help make kids' dreams become a reality. Plus, once you donate your miles to Make-A-Wish, they will never expire. Donate your unused miles and help the HAN Network share the power of a wish.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. Nearly 500,000 viewers enjoyed our broadcasts in the first 5 months. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We can put a man on the moon, but we can't get Wi-Fi on Metro North. I wonder why. This is Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation. Commentary and analysis on getting around in Connecticut. A couple of weeks ago, a friend was showing me his new Chevy Volt. Not only does this hybrid electric car get 42 miles to the gallon, it has its own Wi-Fi hotspot. That's right, the car is a Wi-Fi device. couple days later, our family was on a road trip from the Maryland shore when we caught the Cape Mays to Lewis ferry. On board that ferry boat, they offered passengers free Wi-Fi. The Bridgeport to Point Jeff ferry also has Wi-Fi. Airlines have been offering Wi-Fi to their flyers for years now. On JetBlue, their complimentary Fly-Fi runs at an astounding 30 megabits per second. Discount bus lines like Megabus offer free Wi-Fi. Even Connecticut's new CT Fast Track commuter bus system to Hartford gives its passengers free Wi-Fi. But there is no Wi-Fi at all on Metro North, and the railroad says none is planned, even though the new M8 cars are ready for the needed gear. And therein lies a story. Offering Wi-Fi on a moving vehicle usually involves cellular technology. That's how the first airline Wi-Fi was offered, by companies like GoGo, though JetBlue and Southwest now offer a proprietary satellite-based system which is much faster. When Amtrak first offered Wi-Fi on its Acela trains between Washington and Boston, they immediately had bandwidth issues. So many passengers were using their cell phones and tablets that the connection speeds dropped to 0.6 megabytes per second, and the complaints came flying in. Now, that's just part of the reason the Metro North is reluctant to offer Wi-Fi. If an Acela train carrying about 300 passengers can't handle the online load, how could a 10-car train carrying 1,000 customers? What's more important is that Metro North has had experience with onboard communications in the past, and they got burned. Remember a few years ago when the railroad installed payphones on the trains? That seemed like a great idea until a few months later when cell phone costs came down and everyone had their own cell phone in their pocket. Those pay cell phone booths went unused and were eventually removed. Back in 2006, then president of Metro North, Peter Canito, said Wi-Fi would be built into the new M8 rail cars, both for passengers and to allow the rail cars to talk to headquarters by beaming diagnostic reports. The railroad issued a request for proposal for ideas, and they got a lot of responses, especially from Cablevision, with whom they negotiated for many months. They even initiated on-train testing of the gear on one Metro North rail car. But Metro North insisted that any Wi-Fi would have to cost it, the railroad, nothing, that all the expense and the technological risk would have to be borne by Cablevision or its customers. And that's about where the negotiations were deadlocked and then failed. Today, the railroad sees Wi-Fi as just a convenience. Smartphones and cell card configured laptops can easily access the internet using cellular technology. So the railroad is, to its credit, trying to get the cell providers to fill in the gaps in coverage in places like the tunnels and at Grand Central. So don't look for Wi-Fi anytime soon on America's biggest and busiest commuter railroad. It's not seen as a necessity, except perhaps by the passengers who really have no other transportation option. Jim Cameron for Talkin' Transportation.
Thanks as always to Jim Cameron. We're going to start wrapping things up here on your coffee break, but it's still a busy day for the HAN network. Coming up at 12:30, CT Pulse is live with myself and Josh Fisher. We're going to be talking to a couple of the parents who have been pushing for a bill that would allow children to be prescribed medical marijuana. We'll also, of course, be talking with Doug Smith, our editorial cartoonist. 2 o'clock, Nutmeg Sports with Rob. And at 4:30, boys lacrosse. Fairfield Prep is at New Canaan, so definitely check that out. And we'll see you tomorrow at 11 for more Coffee Break.